2, and here's Modi.
That was me. We are in the studio today with, of course, Leo Periel and a legend. And Leo said you always have to introduce the guests. I'm not doing a good job at that because I know I'm a huge fan, and I know the honor to have you here is so good. Okay, we're here with Noam Dworman, who is, now he said the three things that would be to describe you. So I was thinking, he's a lawyer but doesn't practice lawyer. Being a lawyer, a musician, a performer musician, not a political activist, but a political
pundit.
Whoa! Wow! And definitely, and the most impressive thing above it all is he runs a business that is one of the most iconic and
an institution.
The Comedy Cellar, period. The Comedy Cellar and the whole facet of it, and built it up from when you took it over from your father. And we're going to discuss your father before we get to you. Your father, Manny, may you rest in peace. And just for my Jewish listeners out there, I know I always tell you and you never care, but Manny Dorman passed away on the same Hebrew birth date that he was born on.
Tzaddik.
Thank you. So I'm taking a beat. He speaks Yiddish and Hebrew now. It's into another level. He speaks Yiddish behind my back, so I don't understand. Which in the Jewish religion, it's a very big thing. Many righteous people died and passed away on their actual birthday, and it was an amazing. His life was he was a musician. He played a special instrument, the oud. And when we came to America, he was in the Cafe Finjan. And I remember when I found the album in my parents' basement, I brought it to you. And he was just like me, born in Israel, moved here when he was 7. And
that's, just
go
like
ahead,
you.
Go ahead.
And that's where the similarity just begins.
He at the Cafe Finjan, and then when the Comedy Cellar was there, he built it, and the respect he had for people, and Manny Dorman was one of the biggest advocates for Israel. He loved Israel and hated Israelis. That was anybody that was employed by him was from Egypt or from Syria or from anywhere but Israel.
Yeah.
And he was a very, very, very special person. At his funeral, I'll never forget. We had the speeches were great. I sang the Kamul Rachamim and Psalm 23, which I was honored to do. And then we went to the gravesite, and the rabbi you had was not good. The rabbi you brought it to the event was horrible. And we all standing at the grave with the big hole in the ground, and there's dirt, and there's 2 shovels, and usually when you bury somebody, the honor to bury them is you take the dirt and you pour it on the grave. This is you're doing a favor to somebody that you know they can never repay you. And now you have to understand this graveside. I'll never forget it. He was in the grave, and he had the sand around him, and everybody, there were comedians and Arab workers. Am I right or wrong? I'm 100% right.
Yes.
And the rabbi walked away, and I go, "Hi, everybody. This is how this works. You take the first shovel with the shovel upside down to show that it is a different type of shoveling of dirt, and then you do a few more, and you put it back in the ground so that the other person takes it on their own. You don't hand it to somebody. Usually people do 1, 2, and then the people who are from the Grave Diggers Union, they finish it. Yours, the Arab people that worked for him, finished it themselves. They did not want anybody else to do it. They were so happy I told them about this. And it was just to say, I don't know, I had to say
They were getting double time.
And it was, and he, just like you are, when I said the apple does not fall from the, your father loved to sit at his restaurant, the Olive Tree, and hack a chinik about No, if ever the expression Hakachainik ever came out strongest, it was your father with politics. He loved to argue and not argue, and like you, he had respect for the other person's views, and when he walked away from the table, he walked away as if the argument didn't happen. Moved on. You were a little different. You walk away. You walk to another table and go, do you know how dumb he is? Do you know what a putz he is? He really thinks that Netanyahu, blah, 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 blah. And then you walk out. but you definitely, and let me tell you something. I've been on your podcast, and I've been on Hot Tim's podcast, La Life from America, and watching you dissect people, and you're unbelievable. You're really, besides being, the proprietor, but you really put up an argument, and your thoughts are incredible. So now that I've kissed your ass a little bit,
Thank you, Modi.
You're very welcome, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you. And
I thought it was gonna be a double billed podcast.
What do you mean?
The way when you guys were first starting it up, I thought it was like you guys were gonna have the name was like both of you guys.
No,
No?
and here's Modi. And here's Modi comes from whenever I do shows for Jewish events, and they show some horrible film of a disease or some awful thing that the Jewish, and here's Modi. That's literally what that came from. And also it's just a way my listeners can learn a little bit more about me and people that I love and guests. And I know you and I have had many spiritual conversations that you were not into so much, but comedy in the Jewish religion is one of the most important things. It talks about it in the Talmud, and you provide a venue for it that's unbelievable for years. And it's built, and people always ask me, every other comedy club, how come it's so good? It's the respect you have for the comedians. Am I right or wrong? The respect, the honor, you fight with them, but no, go ahead, tell me what.
I don't know the answer to that. I really don't.
I think from a third-party person who's at the clubs and the restaurants a lot, I think it's because the wait staff and the support staff and the managers and the security all feel like they're appreciated, and it's like a trickle-down effect, and that's why everyone has a good time there. And it's just so well run. It's so impressive.
It really is.
We always joke that I want to vote like everyone who's working at the Cellar into political office because they could do a better job.
We always think about the only person that should be in the White House is Liz.
Or SD.
Your manager. The way she runs, it's like they have 4 rooms. Each one has 12 shows every day, and it runs, and everybody feels like they're the most important person that she's talking to, and you always make everybody feel so important. And it's just it's an establishment. There's spirit. You're making people laugh, and that's a big thing.
Well,
you're providing the venue for this.
It's true that Liz carries an enormous weight. It's amazing that she manages to do what she does with as few things that go wrong as things very rarely do. But what you say in some way implies that the other clubs don't respect the comedians, and I don't think that's true. I think they must respect the comedians too. That's why I was reluctant to say it.
They have respect for the sales they do. They have respect for not in the way that you do. It's not in the way that you do. The clubs are great. Look, Stand Up New York, West Side Comedy Club now. There's a whole bunch of rooms that are there, and it's so funny. Your club is there on McDougal. The energy of that street is incredible, and all around you opened up these little rooms where people are just trying to do comedy shows, and they're like taking your scraps, whatever people couldn't get into your club, and it's and it doesn't. I'm sure it annoys you. Piggybacking, but it's an incredible thing, no? That
it doesn't annoy me. It annoys Esty, who's our booker. It infuriates her.
Really?
Infuriates her. It doesn't annoy me because I don't think it hurts us. It might even help us.
Yeah.
But that's what happens with successful businesses. Businesses pop up around them. That's why there's districts. So it used to be all the music stores together, all the garment stores together, all the flower stores together.
That's interesting.
Because people start to.
True.
There's restaurant rows. There's things like this is typical.
I think that Noam takes certain things extremely seriously, like the quality of the sound,
the
food,
food,
everything,
the
the
sound,
sound,
the lighting,
the security, the video, and he doesn't cut corners and he doesn't give a shit. Like, it has to be perfect. And I think that also, you can see it. You can see it in the menu. You can see it in everything he does. And I think that's also probably part of why
absolutely. And
he's a pain in the ass. But
I would say, well, to be honest, to dissect it, Modi, if it's interesting to people, if I have to really think about it, it's not respect for the comedians. No, let me finish. It's not respect for the comedians because not because we don't respect the comedians. Of course, we respect for the comedians, but because that's not what makes us unique, and because we've had other successful businesses. Don't forget, I had the Cafe Wa before that, which was even more successful than the Comedy Cellar was at the time for many years. And then I had the Village Underground, the Fat Black Pussycat before I kind of turned everything to a kind. All these places had very long lives and were very, very successful, and they didn't have comedians to respect. So I would say that what the common denominator is respect for the customers, really.
When I say respect for the comedians, I don't mean I mean like this. There's always the place could be packed and people waiting outside. There's always a table that the comedians can sit in. They won't have to be standing where in other clubs they might not. There isn't a green room.
Yeah.
You don't have a green room, but you have a table, the table, which shows have been made around it, books have been written about it, articles have been written about that table. That a table always exists.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. When a comic that's of a big name comes in, you don't call page 6 right away, guess who's here? If they find out, they find out. If not, da-da-da. And then when they do have some kind of a Me Too or a hashtag going against them, you usually side on the comedian side. So that's respect. It's respect for the comedian.
And disrespect for women. No, that only happened really once, but yes.
I think it's like a very strong sense of like ethics that
you probably got from your father, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you spoke and you said that you learned to be a musician. You need to you learn to learn a musician from learning notes but how to be a performer from your father.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. So when we went through this whole thing with Louis, I did spend a lot of time wondering what my father would have thought of the way I handled it, but I think he would have handled it the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
well, maybe you can tell the listeners they might not know.
Well, just when Louis first came back, like
Louis C.K., the comedian.
listen, if anybody doesn't know who Louis is,
Well, they might
on this
not.
podcast,
Do you know who you're talking to over here? Louis C.K. is a comedian, a bissel schmutzy, and a bissel schmutzy, and he had the whole thing where he showed his bris to the I don't know he
was accused of some inappropriate behavior to not get into the whole thing, but he got in a lot of trouble and
Noam gave him mechila. Noam gave him a place, and he didn't. And he was on his side, and it was a very nice thing to see.
We got a lot of bad press, and we had protests, and we got threats of violence, and all kinds of stuff.
Is there such thing as bad press? Is there such thing as bad press?
I don't know.
I don't think so. The lines for every one of your shows are wrapped. There's a line to New Jersey for the underground. Into the parking lot, underneath the toilet, in the back, the people standing there waiting to get into these clubs.
I mean, there is such thing as bad press. Cosby had bad press, but in general, your point is well taken. That it's hard to know whether or not the attention doesn't outweigh the negative aspect of it.
And I wanted to. Do you really always think like, what would my father have done? Is that a thought that comes to you often?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he definitely was. There was something very special about him. Very, very the respect he had towards people, his thoughts, and I was very honored to meet him and know him. It was a big influence in my life, Manny. Well, big.
The thing with what happened with Louis was that it was the only time in my lifetime, maybe his lifetime, I can't remember, where there was actually a risk taken with everything. Like in retrospect, it doesn't seem like it was, but at the time, people around me were telling me to stop. You know, I had a lot of basically almost unanimous advice that I was handling it the wrong way from everybody
Really?
around me. Yeah.
Wow.
And because it's kind of like this war in Ukraine, but because the
Yeah,
risk,
it's exactly like
the
that.
risk of taking his side was substantial. The risk of just throwing him under the bus wouldn't have felt good, but you know, then
Yeah.
nothing would have happened. Even the comedians weren't on his side.
I was on his side.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're getting a laugh, you're doing something right. And that was,
Well, I had a lot of comedians, I don't want to say their names, important comedians, who were not happy with me.
Why? Because they felt like they just didn't want to get in trouble themselves, or because they genuinely had some like moral compunction about what was going on. And now they're like, oh, sure, this kind of blew over and they've gone on their merry way.
I would say both. There were people who, the first one, people who were the second one, and people who were both. There were some people who I thought were just, you know, phonies.
uh-huh.
And really, they really were just afraid of the slime, you know, people
Right.
tweeting at them. How could you be on a show where Louis, blah, blah, blah. And they would pretend they were morally outraged. And there were some comedians who actually were morally outraged.
Do you monitor like online chatter and things of what people are saying? Do you read that stuff or
Not very often.
I don't. I'll
Come
imagine
on,
you
you
would have
monitor
time.
every political move of everybody in articles in magazines. You didn't monitor that stuff?
No, at that time. Oh, did I monitor at that time? Well, at that time it wasn't just on Twitter. There was articles about me like on Slate and
On
and
New York
CNN,
Times.
New York Times.
New York
So I
Times,
couldn't.
It was
and
all over the place.
And people were emailing me directly. It wasn't
Right.
about. I mean, I have 30, 40 that I saved, like the most horrible emails.
Really?
People wishing me death and anal cancer and like. all kind-
Because you put Louis C.K. back on the lineup?
Is Louis back on the lineup?
No,
just
because
he
Yeah,
was,
because
he
Louis-
had a place to perform.
Yeah, because we gave a place to
Yeah,
perform. Yeah, yeah.
that's
And people said things like, "I saw your kids on Facebook, very cute." Just
Oh no, really?
yeah.
Wow.
Kind of like menacing things like that. Yeah.
Wow. Is Louis back on the lineup? Louis was, first of all, you came back from the pandemic. Wow. The way you did it was so beautiful. Opened it up slowly. You kept it was, I've done comedy in situations, I promise you, many comedians could never. After movies and dinners and I did the booth where you did it in the booth. I said, you know what? I can't do this.
The dunk tank.
I followed Louis. It was a night. Eric Newman was hosting the whole
remember.
pandemic. Folks, listen to me. You were performing with a plate glass in front of you. The room was maybe
like in a dunk
15
tank.
people,
Yeah.
and you couldn't really see him because the light's coming, so you just see yourself, you know. So you're just sitting there trying to figure out, do I need Botox? I'm doing my jokes, just trying to figure out, do I need to pick up my eyebrows? And I couldn't do it. But Louis came in, people worked it out, and you opened up slowly with respect to the laws and respect, again, to the comedians and to the audience, and everything you do is just absolutely. I'm a huge fan of it. To run a business and to do it with respect, and in the whole time, you're always your mind, I think, is always in politics, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Do you know what he said to me over the pandemic? First of all, I was quarantined. Our families were quarantined together for like
You were pods.
18 months. I didn't
Yeah.
see another person. And one day he comes out. We had dinner together. We had lunch together. The summers, like everything.
Wife swapping.
And my husband and his wife became very good friends also. And they would just sit there at dinner being like, will the two of you shut the fuck up already from arguing politics? Because we usually don't agree. And one day he comes out and he says to me, I don't know what horrible thing I did in my life that I should get stuck arguing politics with you of all people.
Oh wow.
For 18 months.
No, Noam throws things away that he thinks. Your father did too. By the way, one time I did a show. When you perform at the Comedy Cellar, so you're sitting there and there's the door, and once in a while, Esty, the booker, sits there, or your father used to sit once in a while. Now you're performing for the owner. And now one time I had him rolling, and he was there, and it was a great set I was having, and he was so good. And I said to him, he had this little dog, and he'd feed him chicken, and then and he's walking away, and I said to him, good set. He goes, you don't have to yell. And And it was such a good piece of advice. And he was so right. He was so right. He goes, you don't have to yell. It's literally hysterical. It's this piece of nugget he gave me. It's this piece of nugget. I was also hosting back then. Go, and now help me welcome Godfrey. He goes, you don't need to yell. And one time, I'll tell you one piece of advice you gave me. Also, life-changing advice. We were on your show. Noam has a wife, Juanita. I don't know what you did right in life to have her,
Oh my gosh, she's
but you nailed
so
it.
sweet.
Hashem, God blessed you with this wife. She's gorgeous and has energy and full of life. Exactly what you don't want. And she's Puerto Rican, right? She's Puerto Rican. And one time you guys came back from seeing the John Leguizamo show, okay? And I think you went to see the show and came back to the club because I was there that night. And she was over the moon. There's nobody funnier in the world than John Leguizamo. He's the funniest thing you've ever seen. It's exactly the way my father used to talk. My mother said da 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 da. And she was on cloud 9. And Noam turns to me and goes, it's the funniest comedian in the world to her because she's Puerto Rican. Okay? It's not going to be the funniest comedian to somebody who's Jewish. And that's when I realized that, I'm the funniest comedian to Rifki and Surrey and Menachem Mendel and all of these things. And there is no funniest comedian in the world. There's a funniest comedian for what works for you. Mm-hmm. And that's actually when I took on the title for my show, Know Your Audience, which is my theme. But that's something, again, I learned from you. I learned from you that, from you, just the way you threw that out like that. He's the funniest because she's Puerto Rican. That was just the way you just spewed it out.
I mean, I'm happy that you thought it was great advice, but that never occurred to you? Like,
No.
It's Puerto Rican woman.
No, but sometimes
if she had been Chinese and she saw a Chinese comedian, would then you have figured it out?
I probably wouldn't have. But the way she was carrying on, I didn't. The answer is no, I didn't. I'm that dumb, I guess. I just didn't pick up that was the thing.
That was a good show, though. That was like
it was an amazing. All of his shows were amazing.
He's good. He's good.
So
He's
good.
very
So good. I can't explain to people how. Let me just give you Noam's tipus. Tipus means a type. One day, Noam decides, I'm an owner of a club. I should have a nice watch.
No, go ahead. First of all, no, the story's already wrong.
No.
You decided I should have a nice watch.
No.
Well, it wasn't me. Somebody at the table said.
Maybe Juanita said. Maybe
no, I always like to have like a Seiko or was Seiko?
A Casio.
Casio.
God.
Like a very simple watch with a very clean white face with black numbers.
Look at Modi's face.
Perfect time.
yeah, it works.
Very dignified in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell by looking at it's cheap or it's expensive. I mean, he would know because he knows. But like
all right,
it's functional.
Yeah,
so,
functional and nice looking. Actually,
however,
it's not nicer or not nice looking because it's more or less expensive.
See, that's where you're wrong.
Well, okay, go ahead.
He decided we're getting a watch. I go, no problem. I'll call a few guys on 47th Street. We'll make an appointment. He goes, no. We're going right now. Where's a watch store? The most expensive watch store there is, Torno. On Torno, so we go to Torno, and we get to the place. We go to this, to Rolex, to Cartier, to that. He finds an Omega watch. Very nice. Very fits you. Looks good on you. Good colors.
I have a thin wrist, and this one has a slightly smaller face. And it was that James Bond.
It's the James Bond edition, and it has that Dye-Star glass that's like kind of like if you look at an angle, it has like lines on it. Beautiful, beautiful.
You're such a watch slut.
We find it. So it's me, you, and Juanita. So now we finally picked the watch, and then the guy's like, it's whatever it was. Let's just use a number. It was $10,000, whatever it was.
No, they wanted like $1,500 for it, or $17,000.
What are you talking about? Is a lot more than that.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
It was not. But go ahead. It really wasn't.
Okay, so the guy standing there, he goes, let's just say $2,000. Make you happy, $2,000. So then, Noam literally is reaching into his pocket to get the wallet, and I push him as I go, what can you do for us? And Noam turns red, crawls under the ground.
He's turning red right now.
And Juanita's like, this is going to be fun. I go to him, do that thing when you take the calculator out and punch the buttons and then turn the calculator to me, or even better, go.
You always do that. We'll be at Best Buy. You'll be like, "What button can you hit?"
I said to him,
and I'm like, "Modi, there's no button. Like, you can't just magically take."
I said to the guy, "Go do that thing when you go to the manager and come back. Go do your."
God.
And Noam's like, "Why is he doing this? Oh my God, please don't do this. He's so not into."
And Juanita's like, no, let him chew him down. Let him chew him down. I said, Juanita.
It was so that's Noam. Just so you understand, he's not looking to save a buck here and there. It was just that's his.
Okay, so Modi did, as my wife, chew him down all the way down to $1,200. And now this was excruciating for me.
Right, I know.
Because it really, but sure enough, he got him out $1,200.
Right.
And I went home and looked it up online, $900.
Keep in mind, we're in the most expensive store in the world.
In Manhattan.
But I would never have taken you there. I would have taken you to some guy
Okay,
who
and-
2 days later you
He
would have
does-
gotten.
he doesn't care.
And ask me why I'm not wearing the watch today.
It's not your
Why?
thing.
It doesn't keep time. I swear to
This
God.
doesn't keep time
The
either.
Seiko.
What kind of time are you trying to keep?
The Casio,
What do you?
the
what-
cheap watches keep perfect time.
Where are you
The ones
going?
with the fancy mechanisms.
Nothing. This
Are
is the worst
close
time
to-
ever.
I agree with you.
Every
agree with
3
you.
weeks I'm changing
First of
the
all,
5 minutes
if you
back
put a
or
gun to
forth.
my head and told me what time it says over there on your watch, I couldn't tell you.
No,
All
this is
right.
anyway.
So to me, it was comforting to know I had the actual time.
For what do you need the precise time? What are you going to the moon?
He's running.
Yeah, I like.
He has a phone in his hand.
No, not back then. We didn't have smartphones.
no, this is before all that stuff.
Okay, so I
Right,
just want to tell you this,
Blackberries.
that one of the things that we did over quarantine was I cleaned the closets with Juanita. And one of the things we found
Oh,
was, do you remember this?
The cock rings.
Other than that.
Whoa, I can't wait. I'm so excited for this.
You don't remember? It's not
No.
a Rolex.
Where? What? Who?
And
when?
Juanita brought it out and she was like, why don't you wear this?
you found a Rolex in your.
And he was like,
Happy birthday. You know that joke? You know the joke?
I know the joke.
I don't know the
Well,
joke.
first of all, you have the story all wrong. We didn't find a vintage Rolex.
I didn't say it was vintage.
You didn't say the word vintage?
No.
I said
you
vintage.
said-
This is what you do to
She
me
bought
all
me-
the time, by the way.
She bought me a Rolex
Gaslighting.
for.
He totally gaslights me all the time.
I heard the word vintage. I didn't know who said it.
Me. I said vintage.
She bought me a Rolex watch for Christmas or something, and I didn't want to wear it, so we still have it.
Because
in
it's
the box.
gorgeous
Oh.
and amazing.
Amazing.
He wouldn't put it on.
Nah, it's not his
It's
look
not
is,
my thing.
He's not into
his
it. He
look
doesn't
is-
care.
No,
I don't-
he's his father. His father.
How do we
used to
feel about
have
Apple
holes
Watches?
In his
No?
No,
blazer.
listen. This is the thing. It's a person. I don't think I.
No,
it's-
he's
it's
not
my-
pretentious.
It's not my thing anyway. It's
He's
really.
not
It's really not.
pretentious.
However, it's especially be unwise. I think it's bad for a owner of a small business to walk around with that kind of stuff. It's not a nice image.
Disagree.
It's not a nice way to interface with the people who work for you. I think it
I-
sets you apart in a way that is not flattering. I don't think.
Okay.
He's not flashy.
That's
That's his.
considerate
That's
of
his
you.
excuse for not getting dressed
considerate.
up. But
What kind of a car do you drive?
I drive
Bentley.
No, well,
There's a
so-
driver
so-
outside.
no. So this
Bentley.
is interesting. So I bought a Tesla, and it's the first. And before that, I've had nice cars for like the last 10 years. I had
Yeah.
a Lexus and a Tesla, and that wasn't easy for me either. And really, I would no really.
I mean, you seem to be pretty comfortable driving it.
Well,
I've been
no,
in the
before,
car with you.
Before that, I drove Toyotas, and when we moved to the suburbs, and I started spending a lot of time in my car, a lot. And the better cars have a big impact on my enjoyment of life.
Yes.
So I permitted myself to get nicer cars, as opposed to a Rolex watch, which is really merely there's nothing additional, no additional functionality of the gold and the diamonds and the fact that people recognize it's not me. You
It's
know?
flashy.
I don't
wow.
want the flashy car, and I mean it's not
I
that
want to
flashy.
tell you that I enjoy watches so much. I love looking at them, and for it to be on my hand, even when I work out, when I do a pull up or a push up, and I see it, it just makes me happy. It's like a beautiful piece of art. I love it. But we're different people.
But it's also different because people see you as a working comic and not Dave Chappelle. So they think, oh, he bought something expensive. He worked hard and he bought something expensive, and they don't begrudge you that. For me, they see it as showing my wealth.
Oh.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
some
Different
extent.
kind of flex.
Yes, it's different.
I agree with you.
That's
okay.
very
I
considerate of you.
definitely agree with you with it.
I told you I would wear the Rolex.
Now, so I wanted to everything I wanted to talk about. I think I nailed. I thanked you for all the years of. I'm thanking you for all the years of working in your club. Your father, the tzaddik, a sweetheart, a man that changed my life a lot. I have a picture of him in our living room. We have the picture of him, and I see it. Reminds me,
Drawing, right?
just to respect people. It's him sitting with the coffee. It's the picture with him with the coffee, having coffee with the guy you can tell is almost, he's a little bit Arabic looking. You know the picture I'm talking about, right?
I don't know the picture you're talking about, but
The
The
sketch.
Ava made.
Oh, that
That
Ava-
sketch,
oh,
that-
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like the
yeah,
most
yeah,
iconic picture of him. It's
Yeah,
just you look at it, you just respect people, whatever the hell they're
I
doing.
thought you meant the photograph. Yeah, I know the picture.
Yeah. It's just so that, and then the way you run your business, the respect you have for people, your unbelievable wife, your kids. God
Thank you,
bless-
Modi.
So thank you. And now, okay, World War III. We're in World War III now. Politics.
No, we're not. We're not in World War III.
We're about to
100%
go
World
into
War
a
III.
thermonuclear
What do you
holocaust.
think? What do you think? Well, stop it. We're not doing Holocaust. We're not doing Holocaust or nuclear Holocaust. But what do you think of this? The most during World War II, Ukraine was one of the most anti-Semitic countries of all of them.
Yeah.
Like France would be like, when the Nazis walked in, where are the Jews? We don't have Jews. Poland's like, where are they? They might be in the wall. But Ukraine was like, they're all in this town called go pick them up and get them out of here. And now the leader of this resistance against the Russian is a grandson of a survivor. Is the world not the is this, your father would be on another moon with this? I always think about, during the insurrection, remember the insurrection in Washington? I said, Manny would have loved this. Manny would have come back from the grave.
When you say he would have loved it, he just would have loved the entertainment of it. He wouldn't be rooting for the insurrectionists. He would just love the
conversation.
the
around
excitement
it,
of it.
The excitement of it. He would have died.
Yeah.
He
Well, my
loved-
kids are like, don't bother Daddy. He's watching the war. Daddy's watching the war.
What do you think? What? Talk to me. What's your? And I'm always impressed by your thoughts.
But
and
I
the
don't
way
have
you-
I don't have any
I have to deal with him after this for like hours.
Just so people understand, Periel produces Noam's podcast, and your biggest fight, from what you tell us, is to keep it from politics to comedy.
Yes.
And you're trying to find a median over there.
I try.
we did a lot of politics. We had a lot of listeners, and then we started doing more comedy, and we lost them.
It's not true.
That's basically true. But anyway,
It's not my fight.
Oh my God, an abusive relationship
It's
you guys
beyond.
do.
No, he's. You don't know.
Can we talk about so just about Ukraine? I will say the following.
There we go.
Yes.
I didn't know whether he was going to invade, but I was way more thinking that he would than most people were. I didn't outright predict it, but I read one particular tweet thread towards the end of January by somebody who was very, very bright and knowledgeable about Russian thing, who analyzed everything, and I thought, well, this is pretty convincing. So I wasn't shocked that he would invade, and I felt that, but I don't. But it's still an open question whether or not we could have done anything to prevent it. I think that I felt like we should have. I was kind of a hardliner. I thought we should have not announced that we were definitely under no circumstances going to get involved.
When you're saying United States of America, or you're saying everybody else that's involved in this, like NATO and the countries around the border.
I mean the United States of America,
Okay.
because I have a feeling. My attitude is that NATO should fall in line behind us. I know that's not realistic all the time, but I felt like we should flood the zone with weapons and maybe even troops, or at least bring troops as close as we could, and not indicate that we were not going to go in to help Ukraine if they should invade. I thought it was a mistake to say, listen, we don't like this, but whatever happens, you don't have to worry. We're not going to do anything drastic. I thought that was a big mistake. And then the next question is whether or not if we had made some kind of side deal and told them that Ukraine would never be in NATO, would that have satisfied Putin? But I don't think so.
I think he has it out for Zelensky. It's a man versus man type of a thing. He really hates Zelensky for the situation. No, Zelensky is a Russian who moved to Ukraine, took Ukraine on as his homeland, killed it with comedy, built a production company, became like he's
A homegrown hero.
a homegrown
Dancing
hero
with the
in a
Stars.
country that
No, I don't think that's it. I do have a lot of sympathy for the people who in the long term think that we were unnecessarily intrusive into that part of the world in the 2010s. I think that was probably a mistake. I think that Trump came into office wanting to have a better relationship with Putin, and he was kind of precluded from doing so because everybody was accusing him of being a Russian spy, and people were not giving his that point of view much credit at that time because they hated Trump so much. But I think he was right. They took Crimea, and probably at that point we should have made some deal and ended that standoff because it was dangerous for the world, and it turned out to be dangerous for the world.
You're saying we should not have let him take Crimea?
No, I think that once he took Crimea, the idea of having sanctions with no end to the sanction, like what I was saying at the time, I think I said it in our podcast, which was that sanctions until Russia leaves Crimea are sanctions till the end of time because they're never leaving. It's not like sanctions against apartheid where there's some hope that they'll stop apartheid. We had sanctions and they ended. He's never leaving Crimea. Never, ever, ever.
Right.
But we have sanctions. So it means we want to keep this relationship hot, and we want to keep it unpleasant, and we want to keep the resentments up with no actual strategy of where it's going to resolve itself. I thought that was a mistake all along. And Trump wanted to find some sort of grand bargain there. Say, okay, you keep Crimea, but Ukraine, we pledge Ukraine won't join NATO for X number of years. Or, I mean, there's all kinds of things floating around.
Ways,
and I had a lot of sympathy for that point of view.
I really think that he is it's Putin. It's absolutely, it's not Russia, it's Putin, and he has some kind of a grudge or
yeah, but we have our Monroe Doctrine. I get that. We wouldn't want Russia having a military pact with Canada and Mexico. We would do everything we could to prevent that. We wouldn't go to war like that against it because we don't have a dictatorship. But we certainly would understand that this is not anything that anybody in America would want, and we do everything we could to prevent it.
Is there a way out of this? Like, what's going to happen?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, you might not know, but you probably...
Yes, there is.
What?
I don't know.
I think a miracle could happen. I think a miracle. Do you not believe in miracles? I think maybe somehow, maybe all the soldiers will just walk away from their vehicles and be
Periel,
like...
you've been doing a lot of grassroots,
Are you sending them all those extra masks you have?
Her masks are so infuriating.
Oh, God.
Oh, we get nonstop. Why is she wearing the mask still? Why is she wearing the mask?
The funny thing is she got COVID more than anybody I know.
So we said. We never got COVID. We never wore a mask. She, every 2 minutes, every time she comes in here sneezing and coughing, comes home, I have COVID.
These two have been out since March 2020. Around thousands of people have not even gotten a sniffle.
Whatever. Nothing. Performing
because
in
we're
basements
tempered.
in Borough Park. But I think a miracle could happen too. I think the soldiers
Is there any
might walk away.
required reading from
Is everybody
your...
just walking over my miracle?
No,
philosophy thing?
no. Let's address this. I'm with you.
You think what? That
I
they're
do-
all gonna just look up
I
from
think-
their.
I
This is
think I believe. Yes, Modi. I believe in it. Yes.
The first war of this magnitude.
Yes.
That there's phones and Instagram
Yes.
and Snapchat and God knows
Gonna
what else.
airdrop you a surrender note.
No.
Yes.
Hi, you're on the other side of the street right
If
now.
these
in a
soldiers
Russian
begin to
uniform.
understand what's
Yeah.
happening, they might walk away from their vehicles.
Yeah, I do think so. And actually,
I don't know about that.
No, nothing for the miracle of them walking away from their
No,
vehicles.
I don't believe in miracles.
Okay.
But I think that I didn't even like Biden's speech last night. I thought he was unnecessarily taunting of Putin.
To be honest with you, I went to see Dua Lipa last night. The most anti-Semitic singer, and she was amazing, and it was much better than looking at the ghost of
Don't
Joe
look at him like
Biden.
that. It was my fault. I brought him there.
So no, but what did Biden say last night? Bring us
Was
in.
he wearing a glittering
Just saying,
bodysuit?
essentially just saying, we are standing up to Russia, and they'll never win, and freedom will always win, and we're showing the bankruptcy of their immorality, this kind of stuff. And I was thinking, well, how is that going to bring us towards some kind of solution? You'd think that he would be more, I don't know, have more strategic about what he was saying like that, making it easier for Putin to climb down off this position that he's taken.
I think he called the Ukrainians Iranians, and Kamala Harris had to correct him.
He missed. I mean, he did say that.
It's a little.
Never. Can I tell you what Joe Biden looks like to me? When a synagogue, a big synagogue.
Wait, let me before you tell one of your long stories. Can I just say one thing?
Very smart. Yes.
That's why I never speak when I'm on your podcast.
The other
I
thing is-
sit there and just listen.
So the other thing is this: we're getting our hope. It's kind of like a Rocky movie. You know, it's one of those scenes in Rocky where Rocky seems to be winning, but in the end of Rocky, he loses.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very unlikely Ukraine is going to win. It's much.
Are you surprised they've lasted this long?
Yeah, I mean, I'm no military expert. I'm surprised just based on the fact that the people who ought to have known were surprised. I didn't have my own. But the Russian army is 4 or 5 times as large, and
They have nuclear capacities, yes.
but even without nuclear, they are going to pulverize, most likely, Ukraine. They have a 40-mile convoy. Yeah, they're running out of gas, but they'll get gas. People shouldn't. They ran out of gas. They're out of here. No, they are going to probably. It's probably going to be horrible.
It's devastating.
And the way Biden is speaking, it's almost building everybody up to think that this is going to work out well for the Ukrainians. Like, no, it's probably not, unless he finds some way to stop it.
You think he's just not
he
managing
doesn't have that. He
expectations?
does not have that in him. Again, back to my philosophy for my audience. Know your audience. With a big synagogue, like a powerful synagogue, a synagogue that has political connections and all that, when their rabbi retires, the big rabbi who is fully connected all over, and before they bring another rabbi that's that strong, they have a filler rabbi that just to fill in, to make sermons and to do weddings. And that's what he is. He's not a president that's like a president. He's not an Obama. He's not even a Clinton. He's not a Clinton. Even Trump, as mashug as he was a thing. Like, boom, here. There's something happening. This is a filler president. Thank God he can make a speech and get through it once in a while, but it's not a substantial president.
Fair enough, but and then people say he's old, and say he's adult and all that stuff, and maybe there's some truth to that. But this State of the Union speech is not something he wrote. This is the product of all the smart minds that he has around him. And I don't understand their strategy. That's all I'm saying. I can't put this on him. I mean, he signs off on it, but this is not his work product. This is a work product of the administration. The administration has talented people.
I also don't think there should be a strategy that we should know about. Whatever's happening behind, why are you telling people how many troops you're bringing and where they're located? That shouldn't be information given to the public. We're doing what we're doing. We'll let you know when it's time. If my son was going to some, I don't know, the 3 platoons were sent, and my son's, I don't want him to be, to know that they sent out three platoons. There should be some kind of secret. I don't know. It's just so crazy. But I do believe in miracles. Are you kidding me? Your whole business is a miracle.
Why do you believe? Okay, so here,
you don't believe in miracles? You have 5 rooms that are running nonstop, full of shows. After Corona, with the biggest.
That was a miracle.
Good song.
But of all God's miracles, large and small, the most miraculous one of all was that out of this lump of clay,
God has given you to me. Oh, yes.
On that
you
note,
should believe
I
in
know my
miracles.
audience.
You should believe
a
in
question
miracles.
What
for
was the
him?
last miracle
You have a question
Of
for
what?
that you remember? The
Juanita married you.
Juanita married. Every day's a miracle. Are you kidding me?
Well, if everything's a miracle,
A
then-
big miracle I just had. My father was supposed to have open heart surgery. They fixed it with a stent. Are you kidding me? Miracles every day. We arrived here today. The car didn't get into an accident. These are
All
miracles.
right. Okay. All right.
I'm
No,
with
come on.
you. I'm with you. I really am.
Come on, your business is
What
a
are you?
miracle.
The car didn't get into an
no, I'm
accident.
going for.
You have to-
I
you
see-
So
count
now
your-
all
yes.
the Ukraine, all the
with
Russian
you.
troops are gonna get out.
I view small. I look for revealed miracles. I'm telling you, they're there. They're there. Look at your club. Look at your business. Look at your life.
Look at your children.
Your children. Those aren't revealed miracles. Every child like yours is a miracle. You have a child. Everything can go wrong. The kid could come out
Stop,
drooling.
stop.
All right, I'm
Stop.
just saying, but those are miracles. 2 walking miracles in your house.
I think you're using miracle
3.
2 different ways at the same time. Okay, I agree. These are miraculous things that happen, but you seem to be also implying a kind of supernatural intervention of God in the Ukraine war to end it,
So let's So
like
hold
like
on. So let's-
akin to parting the Red Sea.
So good. So what's a miracle? Let's define a miracle. A miracle is when something goes against nature. So there's a house here, a tree here. On physics, when the storm comes and the tree broke, it should have landed on the house. The biggest MIT scientist would have said the way this is angled, it should have. But for some reason, it landed right here. Something went against nature, and that happened. Okay? Something went against nature. Of course, you're a soldier in a tank heading towards, but something happens that you just, I'm not doing this. I walk away from my truck, and you go back home.
I think it was
It's a
you.
miracle.
I think you told me the story years ago that there was some horrible hurricane predicted in Florida or something, and Schneerson told everybody don't. And everybody was evacuating, and he
Yes.
said, "Don't leave.
Wow.
Nothing will happen to you."
How did you remember this? Wow,
And,
yes.
and the hurricane came and passed right over wherever all the Hasids were.
How do
and,
you remember
and,
this?
And nothing came to
100%.
because it threw me for a loop. I was
Yep.
like, maybe,
Yep. There was a big hurricane heading towards. This is years ago, before the Rebbe passed away, obviously. And there was a hurricane heading towards Florida, and all the Chabad rabbis, like, what should we do? He said, stay right where you are. And according to science, this was heading right towards
the
them,
tree,
and
right?
it went right. It was the tree.
Yeah.
That's a
Wow.
miracle. Something went against nature. So, on that philosophy, when you want to bring miracles into your life, you go against your own nature. You want to yell at somebody, scream at somebody, be sad about something. That's in your nature. You go against it, you'll bring miracles into your life. So I'm just saying that. That's just putting it out there.
I accept all that, but I don't think that's going to end. I mean, where was he during the Holocaust? Where was that miracle?
Well, you went there. You
Well,
went there.
I'm saying like based on past performance, I wouldn't expect a miracle.
Performance. Are you giving God a Yelp review?
I'm saying if the audience is religious, I don't mean to be disrespectful. But this is the kind of, without being flippant, and I don't mean to be flippant, these are the kinds of discussions that religious people have, and my point is, I think, a valid one. That why would we expect a miracle for the Ukrainians when we've been in that situation so many times? And at least recently, no miracle has come our way. That's all I'm saying.
The Jews didn't get one, so why should the Ukrainians?
Yes.
There were there were many miracles that happened during the Holocaust too. Yes, the 6 million was horrible, but out of those ashes, look at the communities that came out of. The amount of, it's so funny. I was reading this whole thing about, the organizations. Jews have all these organizations to help each other. And after the Holocaust, when they came to America, all the organizations to take in these people, they're not around anymore because there's no need for it, to help them organize where their families were. It's things when a child dies, God forbid dies, a young child dies, and the parents begin a charity that helps billions of kids. There's a miracle in this child's death. So I don't want to get this.
Just something light. Anyway, do you have a question
Folks,
for
we'll
him?
be again. You're at the Comedy Cellar.
Jesus
16
Christ.
shows per room every night.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. Anyway, I can't thank you enough for coming here.
That's
and,
it?
I always feel like you're probably the busiest man in the world. You're between your business and your podcasts and
Oh, God.
Oh no, he's not busy.
He is
I'm
busy.
very busy. But
He
I
is
actually,
Booked and
I don't want to
busy.
end, but when is this going to be aired?
probably next Wednesday.
Next
Okay, so there's a big surprise show at the Cellar tonight. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle are doing open mic night
Wow.
at 7 o'clock. So I'm just
You
and that's not a
can't be
miracle.
there.
That's not a miracle.
that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Wait, why can't he be there?
Because he has a show with me at 7:00.
I'm not going to be there.
Okay.
But there's some text messages going on that I'm just worried about.
Okay.
It's a
Checking them.
Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock special surprise double feature.
They're coming in just to get on the mic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
These are guys that sell out arenas, and they're coming to your rooms to. It's just and you don't believe in miracles. Okay.
I've asked you like 3 times now if you have a question for him.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. I always,
Listen,
yes.
This is deep stuff you're saying. I'm very thankful and consider myself very lucky. You conflate luck with miracles, and maybe you're right.
Okay. And that's Noam in a nutshell. He doesn't tell you
Ladies
you're
and
an idiot. He tells you this.
He tells
I
me-
just did tell you were an idiot.
No, but in a very sweet way. In a very sweet way.
In a way you wouldn't-
very sweet way.
In a way you wouldn't understand.
No, exactly. Went right over my head.
I'm kidding.
He tells me
I
I'm
don't-
an idiot all the time.
Well,
Okay. So I always ask our guests.
I don't think you're an idiot at all.
I know you don't.
Do you think I'm an idiot?
When you say that that a trans athlete just setting records willy-nilly in sports events is not an issue that reasonable people can differ about,
This is
I think you're an
okay.
idiot. Yeah.
This
We need another
is
session.
this
So this can
is
be continued at
Yeah.
what's the name of the podcast? Live from the
table.
Live from the
Please
table.
tune into Live
Tune
from the
into Live from the
Table
table
to hear
and
the
they
rest of
can
this conversation.
Unbag all of that.
In
but
general, I don't find you to be an idiot. No.
Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah.
I always ask our guests, who's your rabbi? Not like your rabbi from the synagogue. Who's your guru? Who would you go to for advice, to run something by, to get their opinion that would matter to you? Who's your rabbi?
Well, when I was, obviously when my father was alive, I had that wisdom. I have a few close friends of mine that I asked for advice. I have some young friends of mine now, like Harry Anton and Coleman Hughes, who I'm very close with, who I take their advice. But the truth is, I don't have somebody like I had when my father was alive, with the wisdom of life that I can really probe and get advice from. But I managed to ask a lot of different people what they think, and I have to decide for myself.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
As you get older, you don't have older people to help you anymore.
You become the rabbi.
Yeah, but
You are a lot of people's rabbi.
Yeah.
I
I would
guess.
definitely a political situation. I would definitely ask your opinion on. I would definitely, because you always have, you'll tell your angle and you'll tell somebody, this is how somebody else would think, and this is probably how they got there, but this is what I think, and this is how I got there. Anyway, I'm so glad you got here and came to our podcast. And I don't know. You have a podcast that you produce called Live from the Table, which is definitely a good listen. And you have a miraculous business called the Comedy Cellar, the Village Underground, the Fat Black Pussycat, the
Olive Tree.
No, the Olive Tree is the restaurant, but it used to be a bar. Now it's a club, and one of the better. I love that room too.
I'm gonna tell you a miracle.
Yeah.
I got a call today from Tony, the guy who works during the day, and he says somebody tried to break into the Olive Tree last night. I'm like, really? He says, yeah. He says they had a brick, and they were at the side door, which is glass, and they tried to break in. And I'm like, well, how come they didn't get in? He goes, I don't know. They gave up. I'm like, there was nobody there. No, nobody there. It's just a glass. Yeah, of course. Like, how could they not get in?
He threw a brick and it didn't break the glass.
I don't know. Like they get like I have no idea how they didn't break in.
Wow.
That's a miracle.
They had a crowbar. Like they came to break in.
Wow.
What were they gonna take?
Not my spot of places I would break into.
I wouldn't break
I just
into
kind of
That's
assume there's someone
crazy.
always there.
I don't know what they would take. Maybe they just vandalized the place. Maybe they're mad about Louis. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but
Well, you have to put some like gate or something there that makes it more secure.
no, we have an alarm system, but for whatever reason, it didn't work last night. We have it's usually a big, huge bell would go off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, by some miracle, it didn't go off.
Um,
When it didn't go off, the robber says, "You see, miracles do happen."
I'm telling you, the miracle. A
From-
guy's
from
throwing
his
a
point
brick
of
at your glass, it didn't break.
Yeah, but from his point of view, that the alarm didn't go off was a miracle.
No, in his point of view, for him it wasn't a miracle.
Okay.
Anyway, for me, Modi_live at Instagram. The link tree has all the shows. This is airing Wednesday, so the 13th I will be in Philadelphia at the City Winery. Then I'm going to be in the Improv on the 24th in Miami Improv, and there's another show.
Stand Up New York
Stand
on
Up
the
New York,
31st.
2 shows on the 31st.
Gotham Comedy Club later on in May, I think.
In May, go to Linktree in my bio, and please come to the shows. Please say hi. Let us know what you think about the podcast. Noam, I can't thank you enough for coming.
My
And
pleasure, Marty. You know, it's not that I didn't want to do it. It's just hard for me to come, but I'm happy I came.
I understand. I'm so happy you came too. Thank you all very much, Leo. And you have a
Bye.
show that you could give us your show.
You can follow me on Instagram at Periel Ashen Brands, and I don't, the dates are all updated in there.
Tell them about your books.
We plugged her
have.
book. She's the worst self-plugger. She'll plug anybody else's stuff, but her own stuff, she's.
I wrote 2 books. One's called The Only Bush I Trust Is My Own, and the other one is called On My Knees. And they are both available on Amazon, and they're very fucking good. But no one won't know because he hasn't read them yet.
And they're amazing bat mitzvah gifts.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.